Okay, welcome everyone to another CFO technical analysis night. I will be waiting for more people to come in. All right, let's make a quick Instagram post to let people know that I am live. Let's see here. Okay. All right, let's start. Okay, I think I give it a good few 3 minutes or so here for everyone to come in. Welcome, Davin. Thank you for the comment. There's 9 people in here. Awesome, awesome. All right, so if you guys have anyone who is interested in beginning to trade, I highly recommend that you guys bring them over during these lives so that they can gain some type of basic information at the very least, because I know how valuable these lives can be. Well, I'm pretty good with names, Dalvin. Okay, so we've had a pretty eventful week last week. Um, we saw the market. So let me actually go back to the market here. Okay, so this is SPY, all right, and I did tell you guys on Friday before, I believe, yeah, so Friday around the same time here that SPY is not looking, too healthy right now. However, I did mention that it was a good idea to hedge, and so I did. Now, obviously, today we gapped up, and with this gap up, I actually held on to my SPY puts as a hedge and actually got out for a minimal loss around 444. Okay, obviously went down a little more, but I did get out for a little bit of a loss. But my other long positions made up for that loss today. So with SPY, we are hitting all-time highs. Well, we hit all-time highs today. Another all-time highs actually, which is absolutely incredible. And with this double top here that we can potentially see. So I did mention this last week as well. We can potentially see a double top around 447.11. However, we ended up exactly at the top of 447.11. And now we're potentially going to start using that as a new level of support, which was supposed to be a previous level of resistance. But today we just absolutely just blasted right through the first 2 hours, and we closed right above it. Now I am going to be expecting some type of a small pullback into 446 at the very least. Okay, but if you don't get that and we just kind of chop around here above 447, we can ultimately see that 450 level that I've been talking about the last two lives as well. That's absolutely incredible for the overall market. But also, I'm a little bit concerned still that the market is kind of bringing in some buyers and trapping in buyers. But you know what? You have to follow the trend at this moment of time. I think for now we are still in a confirmed uptrend. We completely negated the potential correctional move that we could have had. It's last week, but the bounce at 436 was absolutely incredible with the amount of buying that came in. As you guys can see on the 2-hour time frame here. If I hover over this candlestick, you guys can see how much buying that went in. The average volume on this 2-hour candlestick was 1.3, but the candlestick's volume itself was 3 million. All right, so that's more than 2 million than the average there. So, the market is very, very resilient from here. So for now, just follow the trend and we're back to an uptrend. Okay, so Darwin said, how do you feel about this lowering volume towards a significant resistance at all-time highs? So that's a great question, because usually what the market tends to do is whenever it's hitting all-time highs, it really fakes out a lot of people, especially shorters. Okay, and the process is this. So first off, we have a low volume as we're hitting all-time highs, and that you immediately will think, right? I mean, any normal person would think, any normal trader, that okay, we're gonna see some correctional move because of this low volume. Because if there's low buying volume, then there must be a leeway for sellers to come in, right? I mean, that seems very, very logical to think that way, and it is because most individual stock names tend to act that way. But we're talking about the broader markets here, and especially SPY. What SPY tends to do even with low volume, it tends to completely confuse you. And instead of doing the logical thing, it would do the total opposite of what your logical assumptions may be. And it sucks in these shorters, and this is what I call micro squeezes, short squeezes, where every single time the market hits all-time highs, these shorters starts piling in. Okay, but then buying comes back in even more, and this is where the market makers kind of screw you over if you're a shorter, and they push the price higher, completely squeezing out the sellers as well. And as that happens, the price even goes up even higher as well. So you have a double whammy there, where the market makers are pushing the price higher, and then the shorters are getting squeezed out as simultaneously, and then the price starts getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And that's exactly what we saw here, and many instances in the past year, as the market kept on making new all-time highs. Ever since the SPY made all-time high levels back in, I believe, early February of 2020, right before the crash. Okay, so like I said, the market is very resilient here. It's better to just follow the trend here and just have a nice, thought in the back of your head that there has to be some type of correction soon. But follow the trend first. Observe the trend, okay, and follow that first. Just have a safe kind of a thought in the back of your head that there needs to be some type of pullback here very, very soon, because the market is looking kind of unhealthy here. Okay, so that's kind of my general thought process here for the overall markets. But for like a general summary, the markets are back in a bullish run. We're back in an uptrend. Okay, that's it. All right, just follow the trend. Okay, so with that, Davin, I hope that answered your question there. If that did, please give me a thumbs up just to make sure that that made sense. Okay, so the first name that I kind of want to go over was CRM. Now, if you guys remember what I said on Friday's live, right? I said CRM, well, even when I first mentioned CRM, right here, right over here, okay, August 13th. I said most likely we will see a pullback here, because since we just saw rejection around this 253.50 to 254-ish resistance level, and if we get a pullback, that'll be a nice dip entry there around a previous area of resistance, which will now be turned into support. And that's exactly what we did. We pulled back, okay, 3 days in a row here, and then we immediately began this bounce. All right, and today we continued this uptrend as we broke out above this heavy level of sellers. And this is today most likely we're getting a lot more volume than the previous breakout days last week, solely because of the fact that more buyers are paying attention to this name as we're heading nearer and nearer to earnings, which should be August 25th. All right, that's on Wednesday. All right, if I'm not mistaken here. And so you always see more volume coming in, whether it be to the sell side or to the buy side. Okay, because you guys have to remember, names won't always go up into earnings. Okay, names can go down into earnings as well. Okay, so a lot of people say names can only go up into earnings. That's not true at all. All right, but so far CRM looks really, really good. I can't wait to see what the results are here for the earnings on Wednesday. I believe it's after hours, or I think it's after hours. If I'm wrong, please correct me on that. But with CRM, we're hitting a previous level of resistance again around 260. But we did hold above 260 and ended up around. We kind of sell off into the morning tomorrow. That trend can continue after around 15 to 30 minutes after market open, if you don't get a bounce. So make sure you guys are managing at the market open, right after it opens, because I know there can be a potential for us to gap up tomorrow as well. Okay, and if we gap up tomorrow, most likely we're going to see some type of sell-off as people from today are going to sell their positions tomorrow morning. All right, so uh, let's see if any of you guys have any names to request. So if you guys are still here, please send me any tickers that you guys want me to go over. All right, there's 7 people here, so I'm pretty sure most of you guys will have some sort of an idea of what you guys want to be reviewed here. And I know my playback here for you guys is about maybe, I would say, what, 10 seconds, 15 seconds? So I know it's kind of delayed here. Okay, Joel, Snap. All right, so Snap is looking very good. So Snap, I believe the earnings, let's see, when was it? July 23rd? Yeah. So they had earnings. I think they announced after hours on July 22nd, 22 there. And what happened here was that Snapchat reported earnings with more user growth, which is awesome for any social media platform. But also, Snapchat is also growing in their ad revenue because companies can now, they have been putting out ads on their platform on Snapchat. And so, with a combination of both user growth and an amount of companies using their platform for ads, that's a perfect way for Snapchat to grow even more as a social media company. And so they're kind of following the footsteps as Facebook. And I think they're doing pretty well, and I think they're going to continue to do well. And I think Snapchat is going to be a name that's most likely going to cost around $100 per share in the near-term future. But so far, they're doing pretty well. So with that in mind, it seems like Snapchat is not looking forward to fill this gap. All right, so it made an incredible gap here of around, I think, let's see, what is this gap here? It's like around 15. Yeah, around 15. A little more than 15. So 15% gap here. And then end of the day on July 23rd, around 23%. So around 24%. All right, so that's a big move. So with this gap and this hold, when the sell-off started on the overall markets, what happened was that we bounced at a previous level of resistance around 70.20-ish, okay, around 25-ish. And we bounced on top of it, making it into new support. And right after that happened, we just started to chop around. And we started to make 70.25-ish as new support. And then around 72.20-ish as new resistance. And so this is some very, very good action here. You always want to see this when we're still in an uptrend and when we get a pullback into a previous level of resistance. And especially when we have a gap like this, a gap up, when we are not filling in the gap as well, that's also a very, very good sign. Because whenever we see a name gap up and it completely fill the gap either on the day of the earnings reaction or either the next following days, that usually means there's going to be a lot more downside in the near-term future. But so far, Snapchat looks very, very good. And today we had a nice opening range breakout here where we gapped up and we continued to move up higher. So on the 2-hour time frame here, now let's get into an intraday chart. We are forming a small bull flag here. Okay, so depending on how the market opens tomorrow, like I said, I am going to be expecting a small pullback and then a continuation up higher. But as that happens, I'm going to expect either Snapchat to kind of be resilient to this morning pullback and continue up higher and break out of this small flag. I think it might be a little bit of a better idea to kind of get even smaller in the time frame so you guys can actually see the bull flag here. So this, we have a solid level around 76. Okay, and then we have a nice flag forming here. Okay, but this looks like a similar pattern that I've always seen, a very, very small flag where we tend to pull back first. So if you pull back on the 30-minute time frame here, I'm going to expect the 200 to act as support. Okay, so around 74.50, which should coincide here with the 50 SMA on the 2-hour time frame. Okay, so do you guys see how I'm able to use and kind of gauge my different SMAs here, right? Because I first showed you guys the 30-minute time frame, and I can tell, at the very least, be able to predict, all right, where 200 SMA is, all right, and it's shown me that today it ended at 74.50ish. Okay, around 45 is the exact number, but 74.50 is my whole number area. And so when I switch back to a 2-hour time frame, I already kind of expected that on a 2-hour time frame, that support will also be where the 50 SMA will be at on the 2-hour time frame. So the 2-hour time frame, 50 SMA should be at the same area. How do I know this? And how do I get a good sense that this is exactly what I should be seeing? Because I'm comfortable with what I'm using, these SMAs, the 10, 21, 50, and 200. Okay, so it doesn't matter if using SMAs is correct or if using EMAs are correct. It should only matter to you, to what you prefer and what you get used to and what you're good at, right? And so, never ever feel like if someone else is using something different that their way is correct, because at some point you will come to a realization that it becomes a little bit subjective once we get really into the details. Right, so this is what I'm using and this is what I'm good at, and this is what I've learned to kind of get comfortable with and how they form these SMAs. All right, so I hope you guys all understood that and how where I'm coming from and the reason why I was able to kind of gauge which SMAs are on each time frame. All right, so now also obviously I'm also used to how the 2-hour time frame works because I've been using that for about a year and a half now. But with that, that's kind of what I'm going to expect tomorrow. So in order for us to break through 76, I'm going to need to see a small pullback and more buyers, kind of bring in more buyers to basically push the price higher. And we're going to need to have more buyers because of the fact that we have a whole area of sellers above 76 to 79. Okay, so this whole area right here, where my cursor is kind of oscillating back and forth here, is a whole area of sellers. Okay, and how do I know this? Well, when we broke below 76, we broke off strong all the way down. Okay, and then if we kind of pull back all the way again, our crucial area of support will be around 70 again. Okay, that whole number. So that's kind of my quick analysis there for you guys for Snap. Okay, so let's look at the next name here, PFE. So PFE is something that I talked about with my CFO Swinger Watch subscribers here. And if you guys aren't subscribed yet, I still have it as $25, guys. I did not change it to 40 because I wanted to see if anyone else would take advantage and actually click the link in my bio. And so far, no one did. So just give me a little tiny hint. I will be changing it tonight. Okay, I will be changing it. So this is your last chance to get in at 25. All right. It's at this point, I would say the value that I've been giving and the time that I put in, it should be costing around $100 per month per subscriber. But I do not want to do that to you guys. But I will have to raise to 40. Okay. So just a little hint there. If you guys want to, take a look at the link. You're welcome, Joel. You're welcome. And while I'm doing PFE, if anyone else has any more recommendations here, please put them in the chat. Okay, so what I discussed today with PFE is that, Pfizer, if I go back in the, okay, so I can already tell, okay, you guys should be able to at this point, if you guys experienced there, that this is pretty much overbought. Okay, so with our site right here as confirmation, we are above 70. for the RSI metric. And so at some point, I'm going to see us recalibrate right back into the 40 to 60 range. And even just without the RSI though, just to the price action, we are showing some ugly candlesticks right here, like this one, and this one, and this one. And the more ugly candlesticks we have, the more probability that we can go to the downside. Now, with this news, Pfizer getting their vaccine approved, finally. Now, here's something that you guys should think about. So Pfizer has been able to sell vaccines even without an FDA approval, right? And so, it kind of shows you how much power these pharmaceutical companies have over the government. They're able to sell a vaccine that hasn't even been, checked for the safety of the public people, right, by their own government. And so this military-industrial complex that I believe I talked about it once is just absolutely cemented into our society now. The military-industrial complex is something that's been going on ever since after or even during World War II, as the U.S. completely started to ramp up its manufacturing and production for World War II, and that's also when women were becoming a lot more powerful in the sense that they were getting a lot of a lot of positions in the manufacturing sector, and they took control because most of their men of the household, their husbands, their boyfriends, or whatever it may be, or the fathers, all went away for war. And so that's kind of a quick tangent here, but a quick historical lesson about what the military industrial complex is, where private companies kind of took control of everything. And so this just shows you that even with pharmaceutical companies, this military-industrial relationship that they have, this complex with the government and private companies, is something that is going to be very, very much prevalent even in the next century or so. So that's something that you guys should kind of think about. It's a very interesting thing as well. And if you guys want to learn more, just do a quick Google search. But I found it very, very interesting that these pharmaceutical companies were able to, give out vaccines without any type of FDA approval at all. So it's very, very interesting to see. Okay, so of course, Joel, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so PFE, there really is nothing to see here. We are still in an uptrend, but today just might have signaled potential bearish, a start of a reversal, just judging off of this 2-hour time frame candlestick. I mean, the 2-hour candlestick average is around 750 to 800,000. But on just this single candlestick alone today, when we opened on the 2-hour candlestick here at 6:30, we sold off with 2.01 million shares here, okay, on average. So that's kind of telling me that people are now starting to take some profits here ever since we had that blue sky breakout above 40 and 41, which should make sense. I mean, this is a nice gain here. Let's see, it should be around. Yeah, it should be around like 27% increase, 28, 29. But with Pfizer, overall, generally, we've just been holding this uptrend really well. The 10 and 21 has been acting as really, really great areas of support, and this is the exact reason why I call them momentum SMAs, because they uphold this momentum to the buyers, and they've been able to for the past couple of weeks. Okay, so I'm going to expect some type of reversal to happen at any moment. But so far, it seems like we might kind of form a bullish chart pattern here. Okay, a wedge. All right. Well, a wedge is most likely it's 50-50. It can either break to the upside or to the downside. And also, symmetrical triangle is also the same name. They're both synonymous names. So if you guys ever hear someone say wedge or symmetrical triangle, they're both the same thing. Dolphin, I do not have extended hours because I am using the free version of TradingView, which I still thoroughly enjoy. So I believe TradingView only has extended hours for the pro or premium versions, which I've used in the past, but I realized there was no need to have that because mostly after hours doesn't really matter, especially for me as a swing trader. And Dolphin, it's really important for day traders for extended hours, especially for pre-market price action. Okay, so that's the reason why I don't really care for extended hours. I'm only looking for the actual price action that happens when the market is open, because that's kind of more valid. It's you're actually seeing the buying and selling between the buyers and sellers, right? With good enough volume. So I hope that makes sense. The reason why I don't have extended hours. Okay, so PFE. I think we're most likely going to form some type of a wedge or symmetrical triangle here with solid support around 48.25-ish. And then resistance, well, I would just say the resistance is this descending level trend line of resistance. Okay, this descending trend line resistance. Okay, so that's kind of it. I mean, there's really nothing much to see for Pfizer. I mean, if you're trying to get at the top here, I would say not do that, since, well, this is over. Oh, this should be around the 30% move here. So that's a very, very big move. Okay, so you're most likely chasing at this point. Okay, as we hit above 50. Okay, so Starbucks by Tiffany. So Tiffany, guys, has been absolutely killing it. She just joined, I believe, 2 or 3 days ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tiffany there. And she's already doing pretty well today. She got into a name from the CFO Swinger Watch, name that I got, that I sent out yesterday. And, it looks pretty good so far for her to swing. And it looks good because I'm also in it as well. Okay, so Starbucks. So if you guys have been looking at my lives for the last, I don't know, weeks or so, or past month or so, you guys know I was looking at Starbucks. And Starbucks I was looking at here. Okay, the most recent, I believe, I was looking at right here. And I did say that we're making a bear flag, excuse me. And if we broke below 117, we would immediately flush and come back and test the daily 50 SMA. And guess what we did? That's exactly what we did. Except, instead of bouncing immediately like I wanted to, right? Because 50 SMA is the daily 50 SMA especially, is an area of buyers, a huge area of support. And then the 200 SMA is the most important level of support that will keep an uptrend. And if the candlesticks break below the 200, that means you're going to start to see a nice bearish trend for the long term. Okay, so with Starbucks, the daily 50 SMA, the reason why we didn't hold the 50 SMA is because of the fact that we just kind of chopped around here from 116 to 117. Okay, obviously we went a little bit below 116 and 117, but the general price here, we really didn't do anything. We actually just waited. The price just waited until the 10 SMA kind of came back down and reached these candlesticks, and eventually we rejected below. We rejected the 10 SMA, which is an obvious clue, a very, very good clue that sellers are still very much prominent and they are still overweighing the buyers. And that's exactly what we did, and we gapped below, okay, the 50 SMA. Now, we gapped right into a previous area of resistance, which is exactly where we actually broke to the upside. So when we broke above 114.10 to 0.20-ish, that was our signal that we need to start bringing upward. Okay, and since we came back down to revisit this, it should be pretty obvious to you guys that there should be also buyers in this level. Because why? If you guys look at the past here, right, we just broke up above 114, right, and that means buyers were present to to make this breakout. And so there has to be buyers still present, laying low here to buy this name back up, because some buyers will still be who still bought here are still going to be present, and so they're going to either average down a little bit, right, at a bounce, and or they're looking to just sit with their principal position and potentially get out, okay, at this small bounce, because they have lost faith and the fact that they weren't able to get out at the top here at the all-time highs, and they will most likely try to get out at a area of resistance. And so with that in mind, if these buyers are looking to get out, who are kind of trapped in here and who weren't able to take profits at all here, okay, they most likely will try to get out around 116, okay, and 117 as well if we continue to bounce upwards. However, on the daily time frame, if we kind of come back to this daily time frame here, guess what's happening here? First off, the 10 SMA has broken down below the 50 SMA, and then the 21 SMA is it has been curling downward, and guess what it's doing? It's catching up. So if we are able to go up, okay, this is what I'm going to be expecting. If we bounce up above 116, we will see some resistance as these buyers from here are selling, and there's some sellers here still waiting, okay? And if we are able to break up above 116, we're going to see an immediate rejection around 116.50. Why? Because just judging by how the 21 SMA moves and how I know how it moves and its behavior, by that time, we should see the 21 SMA down here around 117, okay? And we see the price rejecting around the area of this 21 SMA, and we should see the 50 SMA going up higher, and ultimately we'll see that that converging point of the 50 and the 21. And eventually, if the sellers come back in strong at around 117, we should see a crossover of the 21 below the 50, which should give us even further confirmation that there's still more selling to be done on Starbucks. Okay, so I hope you guys stayed for that, for the explanation for Starbucks. I hope that was very in-depth there. Give a thumbs up to this video, to this live, if you guys think that was very, very helpful for Starbucks. I will appreciate that a lot. Okay, so that's kind of it for Starbucks. My whole thought process there for Starbucks, I just gave you guys that. And you guys should be able to formulate some type of game plan there. Okay. And then Kevin gave me AMD. So, AMD. This was a name, an extra name, on this week's CFO Swing Watch. This is blowing my mind. Yeah, I know, Joel, right? Aren't you able to kind of, well, obviously I'm used to what I'm using, and so that's why I'm able to kind of flow with my thoughts of how things are looking, and that's something that I really want to help you guys do as well. No matter what you guys use, that's kind of the point of CFO. Transfer my skills to you guys and how I look into things, and so that you guys can do the same thing for yourself, and so that you're able to improve your trading journey. And also the reason why I have my premium CFO program. So you guys, if you want to, join the 4 weeks program, or just do an independent sessions with me for over a course of 1.5 months, where I'll also be doing live trading with you guys, and I'll be giving you guys trading alerts as well, since it's 101. If you guys are interested in that as well, I'll be putting my whole time in for you guys, especially for the one-on-one. Yeah, just look into my website, and you guys should see where you guys can get more information on that as well for my CFO premium programs. So with AMD, I'm in this as well. I'm up a good, I believe, 25%, if I remember correctly. And with AMD, this is a perfect kind of scenario that I've been always been touting for the past few lives here. Okay, oh actually I'm up 55% for AMD. So with AMD here, we have a perfect scenario here, right? I also said this on a previous live that AMD is making a nice falling wedge here, okay, or even a descending channel, because obviously we did not see the ultimate falling wedge pattern form where we have this converging point and meet here, both of these trend lines. So this is considered a descending channel. But overall, on a bigger picture scale, we have a bull flag, right? We have this impulsive move which makes this flagpole, and then the retracement, and then a tightening of the range here, ultimately forming this bull flag chart pattern. So today, I was highly on alert with this name. Okay, I also had alerts set up around 106.10 if price crossed above 106.10. And when I saw this happening, I immediately got in. Why? Because first off, if you broke above 106.10, if I take out the candlesticks here, you guys can kind of logically assume, if it lets me here, Jesus. Okay, so the 21 SMA here, look at where it's at, right? It's around it ended at 106 today, okay? But when the market started today, it was around 105 point, I think it was around 70ish, and it was and the price was using this 21 SMA as support, which makes sense because if I actually let me bring back the candlesticks here. Whenever we have this big move up like this, and the 21 SMA catches up, is also a great area after the price has considerably retraced here, okay, from its highs here. You most likely see a lot of buyers come back in at the 21 SMA. Why does this happen? Because there's a lot of traders that are looking and using the same 21 SMA to buy off of. That's the most simplest reason why that I can give you guys. If you guys want to dig deeper, you can, but there really is no need to, in my opinion. If you guys want to get into all the theories and stuff like that. But the main simple reason why you saw a lot of buying at the 21 SMA here and above it, when we crossed above the 21 SMA and eventually the 10, is that, well, these are considered, what I consider actually, the 10 and 21, the momentum SMAs, and these are our short-term support levels, right? And so if the price is able to stay above both of these SMAs, that means the momentum is still to the upside, and we're getting support from both of these SMAs. So that means short-term, everything looks good to the bullish side if we're staying above both. And so today, everything looks pretty good for AMD. I'm expecting to take half of my profits off at 110 tomorrow, and then leaving the rest half to ride all the way back up to 112, where I will eventually sell. Okay, but if we see immediate rejection at around 111.50ish, I will also get out as well. Okay, so that's my quick game plan there. And so AMD looking very strong. If we kind of have a pullback tomorrow, I recommend that you guys can go in, especially if we revisit this descending trend line of resistance. So if I come back to the 2-hour time frame, right, and obviously the 50 SMA is also staying right here. So most likely we will see a pullback to 108, and if we go below 108, just because of the fact that we can see a potential morning market pullback, we can see a revisit of 107.55-ish. Okay, judging by how the 50 SMA is kind of curling upwards now. Okay, so 107.50 to 55-ish should be a nice area to get in if you're not in yet. But if you continue to sell off from 107.50-ish, get out. Okay, that should be your out if you go below 107.50-ish. Okay, but obviously you guys should have your own stop losses and own entries and exits. Okay, but I will be continuing to update my subscribers in the CFO Discord. Okay, so with that, this is a very, very good breakout. But what worries me, and the reason why, actually it's not really worrying me, I am going to be expecting a revisit. But this 2-hour time frame candlesticks, they're kind of low on volume here, and we just straight went up for the whole day, which is very good. because this tells me that today was when a lot of buyers were here, and also confirmed that on the daily time frame, the buyers were still there at the 21 SMA. Okay. Kevin, I think your comment came in a little too late there, or maybe my playback is not. It probably came in late for me actually, Kevin. But I'm pretty sure you should be hearing my explanation right now, I believe. But AMD, I don't think it's too late. We got the increase in volume, even though I probably would have wanted more. I probably wanted at least 80 million in volume, a bit closer to the average volume. But if we see any type of bounce around 107.50ish to 108, that could be your entry actually. A very good entry. Okay, let's look at PayPal. So with PayPal, and guess what, guys? TradingView has lost all my lines again. Absolutely incredible. Okay, so what we're seeing here. So today we got an immediate rejection. I'm just going to draw the lines that I need to see and use. So what we're seeing right here, okay, this is a nice reversal already. We ended up above 10 SMA here, but we also have this foreboding 21 SMA that has now finally caught up. So with this pressure of the 21 SMA coming back down, and now the 10 and 21 has now crossed below the 50 SMA, okay, this should tell you, okay, that this is the same thing that I've been, what I just said about Starbucks as well, right? So this is kind of what I'm going to be expecting on Starbucks. Okay, so this is a great example actually for PayPal. From transition from Starbucks, you guys can remember what I said here. Okay, it could be a picture perfect moment for Starbucks here if it follows exactly what PayPal is doing. Okay, so with this now, with the 21 SMA, okay, we should see a rejection tomorrow. Okay, however, just based off the volume, if I'm just basing everything off the volume here, we did see a nice volume pop here. But even though we had a nice volume pop since Friday, last Friday, and we're above the 10 SMA, this 21 SMA is now going to be acting as a huge level of resistance, and we are also near, and we actually closed below, not above, around 278, okay, which is our previous area of resistance where we saw a lot of rejection here. Okay, that's 1 and 2. Okay, and so in order for us to see some type of buying coming back in, I need to see a pullback back up until maybe around 275. Okay, 275 to, if you go below, 274.50ish will also be a nice area for a pullback. But if it continues to pull back below, that means the 21 SMA is going to continue to trail and go lower and lower and lower, and keeping the price below the 21 SMA. Okay, it's going to keep on slapping the price down. All right, and eventually, if that happens, we're also going to see the 50 SMA starting to curl downward, and that should be your actual confirmation of a warning sign that we're going to see some more downtrend. Okay, more downside move, especially if the 50 SMA starts curling, because that means there's a possibility that in the near-term future, whether it be weeks or months, that the 50 SMA can eventually start getting really close as the 200 SMA is also catching up here. We can potentially cross. Okay, so I hope you guys can see that. Okay, if you start coming downward here, that means the 200 SMA is also currently still going upwards, and there's of a higher chance that the 50 and the 200 can cross and create what we call a death cross. Now that's my most bearish situation that I'm looking at. However, this also means if the 50 and the 200 get close together, that means the 21 and the 10 are also going to be close together. And what does that mean? If you guys have been watching my lives, the SMAs are going to be coiling. Okay, they're going to be very close together. And I won't say much after that. Okay, so that's kind of my little hint for you guys. I go a lot deeper into what that means in my 4 weeks program, so I can't do that for my current students right now because that would be very unfair. Okay, so that's kind of it for PayPal. If you kind of reject out the 278, like I said a few minutes ago, um, we should see a bounce at 270 or 269 to 270 again. I mean, we're using this area as support now. So if we break below 269 though, we should flush all the way back down and eventually head back towards 260 and hit the 200 SMA as it starts to climb up still. Okay, so when the price goes down, the 200 SMA will most likely follow suit and catch up quicker upwards. Okay, this is PayPal, Jose. All right, so let's do Apple. Thank you, Kevin, for all the suggestions. So Apple today, I was able to get out today with break even because I decided to take a little tiny secret trade here by myself on Friday. Okay, I took a trade around 147.20ish. It was kind of risky, but due to the contract expiring this week, actually, I saw a lot of premium falling off on Friday as we started to close, and so I was at a loss. Okay, but today I came out exactly at break even, thankfully, as we started to cross above 149.50ish. Excuse me, guys, my nose is a little stuffy. But with Apple, we're right back at a nice. So if I kind of let's remove this. This is actually a very nice bullish flag here. Okay, so if we're able to break above 150 one more time, we can see another push higher. But on the weekly time frame, there's also well, there we go. Okay, I just answered my question there. That I was going to ask myself. The RSI telling us it's oversold as well. But remember what I said in my previous lives. If the price is overbought, does that necessarily mean we're going to see a correction? Anyone want to answer that? Are we going to see an immediate pullback when we are overbought on the RSI? Is that true or not? We'll see an immediate pullback right away. Is that what we should be expecting? Or even better, even a better question. If we're overbought on the RSI, what does that also mean? Other than it being there could be a potential downside move. Anyone want to answer that for me? I'll stay quiet for a second, and I'll wait for you guys to type your answers in. Let's see who knows the correct answer here. Okay, Kevin, not necessarily. True. But what could it mean if it's not necessarily? If we're most likely not, well, if we're not necessarily going to see a pullback just because we're overbought, then what should we see? What does an overbought RSI can also mean? What can it also mean there? Not just a potential sell-off. Seems like people may not be able to get this answer. So if we're overbought, okay. Actually, let me give you guys maybe a few more seconds here, as I'm out of battery here almost on my laptop. So let me get my charger here. Bullish? Okay, that's a lot closer. So if you combine Kevin and Joel's answer there, it should make sense. So the answer is, if we're overbought, it does not necessarily mean we're going to have pullbacks. Overbought can simply just mean that there's a lot more buyers present. Okay, and so buying can continue to go, and there can still be a continuation of inflow of money. Okay, So this is how a lot of people get trapped off of using technical indicators, right? And so I highly recommend you guys to never base off an analysis, especially a technical analysis, off of just RSI or any other technical indicators like the MACD, stochastics, TTM squeeze, and etc., and etc., and etc., because they are lagging. Okay, but the only reason why I kind of check the RSI here and there is that it's probably one of the most reliable ones as well, and I also have a specific strategy that I teach my students in the 4 weeks program, and also in the one-on-one mentorship, how to use the RSI as a way to accurately make trades to get in and get out. Okay, so if you guys want to get more info on that, please take a look at those CFO premium programs. But that's basically what it is. Okay, if you're overbought, that just means there's a lot of buyers. Okay, still present. Okay, but the reason why I'm showing you guys the RSI for the weekly time frame. Okay, so Kevin, new all-time highs. That could be possible. Above, maybe we can finally hit that 152 level that we've been eyeing. Okay, depending on how many buyers come in. But with the weekly time frame showing this type of move here, okay, and we're also a little bit overbought. Okay, we can't see one more pullback. If we get one more pullback here, maybe to 147 or to 1.148, that will also actually be very nice. That could actually give us more room to have buyers coming in to come test new all-time highs. However, Apple is one of those names that is heavily weighted into SPY. Okay, so it kind of follows what SPY does, if you guys haven't noticed already. So, like I said, SPY has those micro short squeezes. Apple does that as well. Okay, and so if you kind of combine what I just said so far with the RSI and then the SPY and the micro squeezes and how Apple is heavily weighted into the SPY, that should kind of tell you that we can see another pop into all-time highs, potentially. Okay, I'm not saying we're going to go to 152, but we did almost reach there last time. Okay, we were a few cents off, I believe. Yeah, so the high we made was 151.68. That was the new all-time highs that we made. And so tomorrow, we're going to either we see that initial morning rejection and bounce, or we're going to see that initial morning rejection and continue to sell off. Okay, and so that I would probably get, if we continue to sell off, I would probably get that desired 148 pullback. Okay, or even if you continue to sell off, we might even hit 146. Okay, but I kind of doubt that, just based off all the buyers that we've been seeing the past 3 trading days here, going to last week. So I don't think we can see that much of a sell-off unless we get some catalysts for the economy or either on Delta, okay, for COVID. So that's it for Apple. Kevin, I did SPY right in the beginning. I know you weren't here. I think you need to charge the laptop. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. I am actually charging my laptop as of the moment. Thank you for the very late comment. But I know I believe that's a meme, I think. I'm not too well versed into memes, but I do know some. But Kevin, I am going to be posting this one. And so if you guys are wondering what happened to the first live, I actually made it a private because it was sort of a disaster, to be honest with you guys. So I didn't want my lives to start off that way. So this will be posted publicly, okay, right after the live is done. It should automatically post as public. Okay, so if you guys don't see it, please tell me, because that might be an error on my side. So please tell me if you guys don't see it. But after the live ends, there should be a processing time around, I don't know, maybe 30 to maybe an hour or over an hour. I don't really know how YouTube processing works for the live videos, but you guys should still see it after the live ends. Okay. Okay. So Kevin, I think I'm not going to talk about Roku because we've been talking extensively about Roku only in our CFO Discord, and I think it's going to be a bit unfair, and it's a little bit unfair for my subscribers, especially for my subscribers, to be talking about it on live. But Roku, Kevin, I just see you're a subscriber. Kind of go back to the CFO Discord and search up Roku because we talked about that today, like literally all of today, and that should kind of give you a clue. And I will come back to CFO Discord right after the live here and go over Roku one more time. Have I done Baba? Nope. But Baba is one of the things that actually kind of gave a recommendation, okay, to my subscribers here today, that it can potentially be an entry today around, I believe, when did I say this to them? So I told my subscribers that there can potentially be a nice investment opportunity for Baba around this area right here. And guess what? We got that nice movement today, and after hours we're seeing some nice movement as well. But obviously after hours is not really important to me. Well, that matters tomorrow on how we open. So we will have to see how Baba will look in the next few months. And for me, I have contracts into 2022 and 2023, so I'm double layered on Baba. So I am very, very good. So I can see a nice, huge percentage increase if we're able to go back all the way up into 2270 and ultimately even back above 300 as well. Because Baba is extremely undervalued at these prices right now. Okay, at the very least, I'm going to be expecting, in maybe even this week, the price to come back up above 170 and ultimately hit 170.50. So if you guys want to go in Baba, that should be a nice weekly target for you guys. The reason why I say weekly is that I want to see a lot of buyers coming into this name, a lot at this point. Okay, since every time we had a buy the dip opportunity for Baba, it has not worked, and that's been the case for most Chinese ADRs. And you guys, if you guys were living under a rock, you guys should know that China has been having problems, especially these private companies with geopolitical issues, especially with how the regulators are cracking down on everything, on every single tech company, private company, because they want to make sure that these tech companies do not get too big, like how they do in the United States, and they're basically showing off that the Chinese Communist Party has the power. They're the only sole power that can recommend any type of financial moves or anything else in that matter. Okay, that's also the reason why Baba's aunt, okay, failed. Okay, Jack Ma's financial company, I guess is what I would say. So you know, it's truly unfortunate, but Alibaba still does really well, and China, if they're smart enough, and I do believe they're smart enough, they will not fail one of the biggest private companies. Okay, so basically what they did with these private companies is that they literally, erased trillions in market cap. Okay, I think it's trillions. From the article that I read, in Chinese names here, in Chinese private corporation market caps here that are listed in the U.S. exchange here. And what they've done is that they've shown these Chinese private companies who the real boss is, right? And so at some point, I also believe that the Chinese government is also going to start buying back, in whatever ways, or even promote at the very least to people to invest again, because this negative sentiment that they've had for the past few months for all these Chinese names and the Chinese private companies by fining them and cracking down on everything that's private. It's been extremely awful for these companies, and so that's also another reason why Jack Ma, the CEO of Alibaba, has been really in the shadows. People thought that he was dead, but he's been laying low, and so even a rich man like him can't. Actually, he falls under the rule of Xi Jinping. Okay, the current emperor of China is what I would say, because he is. literally an emperor now. So, you know, with all these Chinese companies, they're very risky oriented to get in. But I like to have this risk for the long term for Alibaba, especially since it's a very very big company. It is the Amazon of China. So, um, why am I bullish? Um, I'm actually going to be putting Alibaba on my next CFO Swing Watch next week, depending on how it goes, and I'll be doing a full depth analysis for all my CFO Swing Watch. All right, Kevin. So I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy that, and the reason why I'm bullish. But there's a very very good reason why Alibaba is undervalued. Okay, and I'll be giving you guys all the fundamental metrics and giving my own opinions and my analysis on it, just like how I do with my investment picks, because Alibaba will be my next investment pick. Okay, I did give you guys that first freebie for the investment pick for people who are watching live, which was Fiserv, FSIV. They're the ones that own Zelle. Okay, and guess how it's been doing so far ever since I gave it right here on this day. Okay, we're up almost more than 8 points. Okay, since the time of when I gave you guys that investment pick. Okay, so I think Fiserv is a great company. We can come. I think it should be worth a lot more per share. It's currently, I think, in my opinion though, it's currently at a fair price. It's not either undervalued or overvalued. I think it's a nice price, so a perfect price to kind of get in long term. But still, I think Fiserv has a nice long term price target to around 150 or even 200 in my opinion. But yeah, Baba will be my next investment choice here, long-term investment pick for you guys, since that is my new addition. But Baba, it's looking, it's a very undervalued name. And today we saw a lot of buying coming in. Just look at the volume here on the day time frame. It's 88 million, and the average has been 30 million. So if we're able to close all these gaps here that we made on this move downwards, we just see a continuous squeeze. Okay, just based on technical analysis here. Okay, and for all the CFO Swing Watch subscribers watching this, be ready for my fundamental analysis. I'm going to make it as in depth as possible, like I usually do. So with Alibaba, I will be giving you guys a very good in-depth reason why I'm very bullish on it. Sex relates. what a nice username. Nope, I have not done PLTR, but let me do it. So I think I did reveal that I did get into PLTR with equity in my previous lives. I think my previous 2 lives, I think. But PLTR, great movement today. There's a lot of unusual activity. Okay, UOA today on PLTR. If we're able to break above 25, like I said on the previous live, and break above this descending trendline resistance, we should see a nice push upwards to 26 and eventually back up to 27.50. And so currently right now I have equity. I'm not in it too heavily, but with PLTR, yeah, I mean overall it's looking pretty good. If I take out this candlesticks here, you guys can see my SMAs. Okay, let's do my SMA technical analysis routine here. So what's happening here is that we're first going to see, ultimately, if we continue to push higher, the 10 and 21 cross above the 200 SMA first, rather than the 50 SMA crossing above 200. How do I know this? Well, because I'm comfortable with how they work, and I know by now how these SMAs are moving, because I've been using this ever since the start of when I started to trade. So that's more than 4.5 years ago now. So that's kind of how I'm able to gauge their behavior and kind of predict how they're going to go. Now, with the 200 SMA here, we're still forming the straight line here, and we're still kind of pointing upwards. And so that's kind of surprising to me, because eventually, if the price continues to go upwards, I'm going to want to see, and eventually going to see, if and only if we see the price move upwards, the 200 SMA should start curling downwards. Why? Because that means that the 50 SMA will start to curl upwards. And you guys can logically assume what that means. We're going to continue to have the 50 SMA move upwards eventually until we cross above the 200, making a golden cross. And that will signal a potential long-term entry for PLTR. And at the very same time, I also have a bullish opinion on PLTR as well. And depending on how PLTR goes, I might also add it onto next week's CFO Swinger Watch. But obviously, I'm not going to confirm that whether or not I'm going to put it, because if I'm going to put on the CFO Swinger Watch, I'm not going to tell you guys, because obviously I'm not going to know how PLTR will do for the rest of this week. So, but so far, everything looks pretty good. I kind of don't like how we've been kind of chopping around here, which is also the reason why the 50 SMA has kind of been horizontal here, if I move this here. Okay, but at the same time, we're seeing with this 50 SMA being a solid support for the price so far, but at the same time causing this choppiness here, we're allowing the 21 to catch up and eventually cross above the 50 SMA, which would be great. And we're going to see that support from the 10 and 21 eventually. Today we got that support from the 10, and now we closed above the 200 SMA, which is a great sign. Okay, the only thing that I wanted to see today was more volume, and that's what I've been saying all day today to my subscribers. I want to see more volume, and more volume. And so tomorrow, let's see if we get it once we're able to cross above 25. But my equity position, I'm most likely going to be holding for a long time, because I think PLTR is a stock that can be priced around $50, to be honest, in my opinion. Okay, but obviously things can change. The fundamentals can change for a company. You never know what can happen. PLTR can become bankrupt. You just never know. Anything can happen in the next 5 to 10 years. But for the long-term price target, I think PLTR can get up to 50. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of it for PLTR. It definitely needs more volume. Definitely does. I'm holding long shares too. Nice. So my average price is around 24.10. Okay, so I got in during this choppiness here. I think that's a great entry for me. But with this hold above this gap up as well, okay, I forgot to mention this as well. So just like Snap, okay, which I did earlier, PLTR is also holding up its earnings gap. Okay, it's doing even better than Snap actually. It didn't even break below the low of the day during the gap up of this candlestick. Okay, so we should see a nice bullish breakout soon. All right. Okay, so yeah, the management is pretty good. I think all the board of directors, even the CEO, I think they know exactly what they're doing, and the contracts they've been sealing is absolutely good for this company. I just hope that they're able to be a good company as well, not just based on what they're doing financially. Because some companies tend to steer away from the actual purpose of the company and just focus on pleasing the investors. If you guys have never thought of that way, well, you guys should, because that's how companies sometimes work. Okay, and 1 or 2 years, maybe, but that's a little too early for me. I think, to be honest, 5 to the next decade. To be honest, I don't expect a huge big price increase, but obviously we saw that here when I think this is when Wall Street Bets got in, and with the presence of Wall Street Bets, that may happen. You never know. We went from 27 to around 45, so in what, 4 days? So that's absolutely crazy. But if I was thinking in terms of if Wall Street Bets was not here and not existent, I would say it would take around 5 to 10 years, to be honest. And Jose, Mr. Dominguez here. Fubo. Okay, so let's look at the next name here. Okay, so that's what I think about PLTR for now. So Fubo. Well, what do you know? Good eye on Fubo. So this is kind of one of my another strategy here that I teach my students called the TRO, Trend Reversal Opportunity. Okay, also teach this on the 4 weeks program and for my one-on-one mentorship students. So if you guys really want to know how all these strategies work, please take a look at my link. I should have all the links in the description below on this live video. So make sure you guys take a look at that. And you guys should also look at the last link on the description box if you guys can take a look right now. It's the chargefocus1.com/services, where I have a whole layout of what I provide. So if you guys want more information on the programs, the one-on-one consult mentorship, and the 4 weeks program, you guys should take a look at that because I know it will benefit some of you guys. Okay, so for Fubo, Jose, this is a great name that you've been looking at. So we found we came right back to 24.50 support once again, and it, just judging based off the previous history here, we bounced on top of it. And today, what do? We break above the Friday's high and continue to go up. Okay, so this is a nice TRO. Okay, and I specifically teach my students what a TRO is, okay, and how to identify it. But I will not be saying it here. So on the 2-hour time frame, okay, so this looks really good. Okay, as the 10 SMA catches up, we're eventually going to see on a 2-hour time frame this 10 SMA cross above the 21. All right, so far it seems like we had a resistance around 26.50ish, which makes sense because that was also a resistance when we're basing around here and kind of hugging this 24.50ish support. So we should see a similar action here. Okay, now I don't know if we're going to see another kind of a choppy action around the same area, but in order for us to see a continuation of this TRO and a confirmation of this TRO, a trend reversal opportunity, we should see a nice big blast above 26.50 and eventually back towards 27.50, which also coincidentally, well, it's really not coincidental because I know how my SMAs are moving on the 2-hour time frame. We should see a nice hit at the 50 SMA. Okay, so it's if you guys have been watching my lives in the past for the past few weeks and the past few months, you guys should see how smoothly things go for me when I'm doing my TA for myself. Because it really does go smoothly like this when I'm thinking and looking at the charts and observing everything and using my SMAs, the price action, because I'm comfortable with how everything works. Okay, it's all about the experience that you guys need to get with whatever you guys are using. But obviously, you guys should know the basics and fundamentals. Okay, so once you're able to get enough experience, you guys should be also focused on getting comfortable with what you're using. All right, and that's the reason why I tend to say, after you learn everything from me, especially even the students, my previous 60 plus students now, I believe around 65 students from the 4 weeks program, they're all now doing extremely well because they're now, they have all the information they could potentially get from me. I've transferred my skills over to them, and they're now able to trade comfortably with what they're using as well, but still using the same lessons and techniques and strategies and trading strategies specifically and theories that they were taught and specifically apply them to what they're comfortable with. Okay, and that's the exact purpose of what I'm here to do for you guys. Okay, so with that, Fubo, okay, is absolutely looking like a monster here soon, since we also held the support area once again. So we should see a nice continuation or a nice breakout confirmation and a nice confirmation to this trend reversal opportunity, a TRO above 26.50. Okay, and ultimately, if we break above 27, that should also give you a nice confirmation that we're going back upwards. Now, on the long term, obviously, I am still a little bearish. Why? Because the 50 SMA is below the 200. So that means there was a death cross. All right, so that's kind of it for my Fubo. All right, so I'm going to do one more name here. One more name. Kevin, WM, waste management, I think. Yes, exactly. Waste management. So waste management. So I don't know why this company has been going up so much. But obviously, waste management is going to be managing waste. um, I think, I guess, as human society gets more and more and more polluted, even if we use sustainable stuff, there's going to be more brands, more products, more services that uses, that produces waste. We're going to be eventually seeing a lot of waste. So I think waste management is something that you need to be absolutely looking into. Especially waste management is also, I believe, a name that a lot of people have on their long-term accounts, believe it or not. But what a nice breakout. This reminds me of Costco. Okay, this is a very, very nice uptrend, and you guys should know by now, if you guys still follow me on Instagram. I did post Costco for you guys, and you guys should see my post and then check out where Costco is at currently. It should blow your guys' mind, and make sure you guys read the caption on the Costco post. It's a very, very valuable lesson on what big money and market makers do. So, waste management. There really is nothing to see here, Kevin. It's just a nice right hand chart, top right hand chart, which means a nice bullish chart pattern here. Since COVID lows here, March 2020 lows, from 83 to 150, that's a really nice increase. I mean, just absolutely monster move here. If I can get out my, okay, I guess it's not gonna let me. Anyways, so I mean, this may be a little bit overbought at some point. I think it should be around, if I could guess here, RSI should be around 70. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's hugging around 70 here. Look at that. Every time it hits 70, it comes back down. But we're still in an uptrend. And that's exactly what I mean, guys. Even if we're hitting overbought levels on the RSI specifically, doesn't mean we're going to crash. I mean, just look at the price, right? We're continuing to go up and up and up and up. This just means buyers are still very much present. All right. Okay. So waste management, if we come back down from this point onward, we need to see a revisit of the 50 SMA one more time. So I would eventually want to see a revisit around 145. Okay. But if we go below 145, we might see a quick dip to 141.50 and eventually a quick bounce back above the 50 SMA. Okay, so that's kind of my potential prediction there for waste management. But so far, this doesn't look too bad. This is still very much a bullish chart pattern. It just broke out of a bullish flag, if you guys can see. A pretty textbook bull flag here. It's a nice sideways movement. Okay, and then we broke up above 142. And so, yeah, that's kind of a simple plan there. So if we come back down to 145, which also be, or even 146 to be honest, we should see a nice touch of the 50 SMA. And if we bounce on top of it, and we should see that, if the buyers want to continue to keep this name up, we should see a little bit of volatility as well, but a nice continuation to the upside. And again, as a general summary, if we break below 145 though, we should see a quick pullback to 141.50 to 142, and a nice bounce from there. Okay, so that is it for today. I will be ending it here. My next live will be on Wednesday because I do it every other weekday actually. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this live as usual, because I know a lot of people really enjoy this. So please give me a thumbs up down below and subscribe to the channel if you guys want to get more notifications for these lives. That'll be great. Did someone say something here? Oh no. Okay, it's just my it's just my live chat box glitching here. Okay, so yeah, that is it for today. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. And if you guys join the CFO Swing Watch today, and if you also bring another person in, you guys can actually get the next month free because one referral equals 1 month free. Okay, for the CFO Swing Watch. All right, and that also applies to current subscribers as well. Okay, because I know there's at least 2 subscribers here that are on my live right now. All right. Okay, so I will see you guys not tomorrow, on Wednesday at the same time around 8 p.m. PST, which is also 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will look to maybe move it up to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time so that the Eastern Standard Time people can also stay awake and be in the live at 10 p.m. rather than 11. So I will be looking into doing that as well. Okay. All right, I'll see you guys all on Wednesday. Have a great rest of your night. And thank you for coming, Kevin. Thank you, even as a subscriber. All right, have a great rest of your night, guys. Okay.